So for funding opportunities, right? There may be different types. So we have equity financing, which is applying for government or university financing. You have that as well too. And then you have different ones with crowdfunding as well too, right? So you have to look at the different types of financing opportunities available and which one would be best for your business, right? So each one comes with different risks that you have to give up certain things to achieve that funding. So you have to understand when you doing your financing for your business, you have to have a proper financial plan. You have to monitor and review the costs, and you have to understand, okay, is this the correct funding that you need for your business? Because if you need to gain support from the bank, investors, or venture capitalists, you have to have a proper financial plan to give to them. And that is the only way for successful growth of the business. You have to look at the financial plan properly, and you have to know, okay, this is what you need to get done. You have to account for everything in a startup. Okay, so the different methods of funding. So we have personal finances, assets, which you own, your crowdfunding as well, which is a new type of funding, I would say. Debt financing, which is through the banks, the loans, those kind of things, credit unions. Equity financing, where you give up a percentage of shares, and then you have grants as well, right? So you have the Exim Bank. So this provides the finances to companies engaged in export business. So if your business falls within that line, they will able to give you this lump sum, a loan, that kind of thing, to start your business, and you pay it back later, that kind of thing. Then you have Curry, the business hatchery program, where they provide support for entrepreneurs by offering training, counseling, and financing as well too, right? So this one, they actually give you the training. So they help you as you go along, so like a mentorship kind of thing, where they want to see, okay, your business starts at a level, they sit down with you, they plan it out, that kind of stuff. So you have somebody there helping you, and they give you money as well. So you have the money to start up your business, but you also have somebody to kind of go to and talk to about, okay, what is the next step? You think this is the best way to go forward with it, and that kind of stuff, right? And then you have business development company, Netco, and pitching competitions, right? To obtain that kind of a loan as well. And
So a sole proprietorship is owned by one single person slash entity, right? So one person makes all of the decisions and it's an unincorporated business. Sole proprietorships. The owner of a sole proprietorship is the person who has to deal with everything, and their finances and the business finances is one. There are no separate legal entities in this. So your business and you are one legal entity, right? And some sole proprietors do business under their own name rather than creating a separate business name. So some advantages for a sole proprietorship would be that it can be easily created or dissolved with ease. The startup cost is lower and there's minimal regulation by law. So you have less paperwork, you don't need to get an EIN from the IRS. It's quick and easy to set up, and as we said, the fees and costs are lower compared to other types of businesses. The disadvantages, though, is that all of the liability is going to be incurred by the business. So if somebody was to say sue the business, you will be sued personally. Another disadvantage would be that all your capital is going to come from you or probably savings, the difficulty in raising capital there. And as I said before, you have no separate legal entity. So some of the legal requirements for sole proprietorship can be to register your business name that protect owners' personal assets, right? So with this one, there is a separation between the legal, there's a separation between the legal aspects for you and for your company. So this structure, it protects owners from personal responsibility for the business's liabilities and debts. So your personal funds, your personal cash will not be automatically incorporated into this. There is a legal protection there. So some advantages to limited liability companies would be that you have limited liability so that you have that protection. There is perpetual continuity of the business. So even if, say, somebody was to come out of the business, depending on where you are, on the laws of the land, the business will be able to continue without a person. Your assets and debts belong to the business. So it's not your debt. You don't have to take out of your pocket to repay the debts of the business itself. And it would be actually easier to get financial help from banks and financial institutions. Some disadvantages, though, would be a reduction in flexibility. So you'll have separate the business assets of the companies, while in a partnership, the business assets are your assets, are the person, the owner's assets. And as I said before, both LLC and partnerships are allowed to pass through their profits, and they would be able to pay their taxes through the owners. Some examples of LLCs are Alphabet, which is the parent company of Google, PepsiCo, and Johnson & Johnson. Some more legal requirements for LLCs would include that you have to register under the Companies Act, and you have to separate your legal personality from the owners. You'll have to file for article of incorporation. You'll have to notify directors. You'll have a notice of secretary, and also you have to pay an incorporation fee. The key takeaways for our LLC is that the corporate structure, and it protects our owners from being personally pursued.
Now, WIPO, which is the World Intellectual Property Organization, states that IP is really a creation of the mind. And this could include inventions, literary or artistic work, designs, symbols, names, images, all in the aim of commerce or making some sort of revenue, right? So it's basically a document that you create and you go to the various bodies who oversee IP rights in order to get protection. So a patent is an exclusive right granted for an invention, which is a product or a process that provides in general a new way of doing something or offers a new technical solution to a particular problem. By definition, the patent itself is a blueprint of your entire product, so that someone who is skilled in the field can take that and recreate it. We'll see why that is important as I go through this particular protection. Three of the main areas to look at when seeking to get a patent is novelty. Either feel there's competition where someone could either recreate it and sell it over, or it's a large enough market where you can boost or benefit from the profits that you'd make from your invention. So most persons, they might think Trinidad isn't big enough, but we have a lot of patents being filed, not locally from local persons, but from international companies who actually want to do business here. So a lot of the industries, they would have patents being filed so that no other organization could use their particular product in their services without the nature of IP is meant to, or patents in general, is meant to push society forward. So meaning that it's expected that once you file a patent and you've made your money for the 20 years, whatever innovation or invention you've created will now become part of the public domain, meaning that that technology could now go into the general market and it could be reach a wider population. And that way technology moves forward. So if persons would notice, there might be times when a certain product, you're only getting one of it. And then there are times when the market is just flooded with different varieties of the same product. Normally that occurs when a patent has expired.
Development process. So it's about making a production plan. Once the production can begin, you could have like a minimum viable product status, right? Because sometimes when you make orders overseas, you have to have a certain amount that you have to request. It also helps product managers get user feedback as fast as possible to iterate and make small incremental improvements to the product. So the minimum viable product is the version of a product with just enough functionality for early customers to use. So production planning is where operations continue to become more complex, and this means manufacturing companies require more thorough production planning. Right? So a production plan is a very helpful thing, and you have to think about your risk response, and risk in itself requires a whole management area where you need to identify your risk, take note of them, and then you need to identify how you're going to respond to your risk. So risk could have, your risk response might be an opportunity, or it might be an opportunity, or it might be a negative thing, you know. You could also find opportunities and risks then. So in the future to come, it might be a small business at this time, and you may or may not be able to export, but you never know if your vision is larger, and you might you might become a bigger business, and you might actually be capable, right? Exporting may allow businesses to sell niche or specialty products for higher prices and larger volumes. So think about, a product, ship goods, and where do I start? So it's a lot of technical things that go into exporting goods. And usually I have to have a good team with the ability and the knowledge and the expertise to be able to handle this and to be able to put your product in alignment with exporting. You have to have that knowledge. And if not, you may have to actually go through a middleman to be able to do so at an additional cost. So we're gonna look at the reasons to pursue exports. What you could offer in a foreign market. Many times that is the case. Profitability for you. You might be able to sell at a faster pace in a foreign market than locally. Competitive advantage, what is out there in the foreign markets. What you have may not be available in the foreign market, so you offer competitive advantage. Risk mitigation. So you might be able to mitigate some of your risk by selling in a foreign market. Export resources, is another area. So, like you might have the representation in Trinidad and Tobago that could help you with exporting, and that's where we want of particular domestic products. So think about it, it is, you want to protect domestic products from foreign competition. You want to sell holiday food snacks, you want to sell sunshine snacks, you want to sell exporters. Export TT focuses on building internationally competitive firms, improving the business environment, and harnessing the differentiating factors that set Trinidad and Tobago exporters apart in the global marketplace. So Export TT is one of those places that provide grant funding for a number of things, and they have very specific guidelines, they have very specific requirements, and they have categories of things. So you can go in, see them, discuss with them, and see where your product could apply. A comprehensive range of services to exporters focus on increasing non-energy exports, increasing the number of exporters, and delivering value for money. With the ultimate objective to develop a sustainable and diversified export sector for Trinidad and Tobago, it assists by offering grant funding opportunities, market intelligence and research. So imagine you have that opportunity to get market intelligence and research from our government, export and export opportunities.